Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. Super excited to have my friends and colleagues, Gwinnett Business Radio X owner Mike Sammond, my friend there. Mike, thanks for coming on the show today.
Ryan, it's great to see your face. We've missed your smiling face here at the studio.
I know. Well, I mean, and for those who don't know, I have a Marketing Matters show on Mike's station, and half my guests coming on this show, Mike, think they're talking about Marketing Matters. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I said, "Did you read what I said?" And they're like, "Nope." I'm like, "Okay, great. You want to talk about two different shows?" But yeah, no, I miss seeing you guys too, man. And I'm glad. I wanted our audience to be able to hear, you and Amanda, what all you guys are doing, but all these really Gwinnett, this is for any community, but what businesses are doing during this time. And a lot of people just hear, Mike, the doom and gloom right now. They don't hear, things are opening back up, but they don't hear the positive stories of what are you guys seeing over there that you can share with our audience.
It's funny. The niche that we fill here at Business Radio X is we are pro-business. We're always sharing the positive stories. And so now we're doing it more than ever. And it's been wonderful to see the Gwinnett community come together. A lot of people have been hurt. In fact, as we do this interview right now, I'm looking out the window of our studio, and we've got a line backed up of dozens and dozens of people. Amazon's doing a job fair here this week outside our studio at the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. And there are so many people here looking for jobs, but there's so much good happening as well. You see the takeout restaurants and people helping support local businesses. And so we're doing very much a lot of what you've been doing. You've been doing these wonderful interviews to let people know that business is still out there. The doors are open for a lot of places. You may not be able to go in and sit down and eat something or buy something off the shelf, but you can still do things virtually. And so we've also got a community spotlight series, much like you're doing, where we're talking to businesses for 5-10 minutes and letting people know that business, they're still there. They're still open. Support your businesses. We're in this together. And so it's a very unique time, but the fact that it has brought us together is one of the positives that I'm taking out of this. And we're doing things differently. We've had to pivot, and that's a favorite word of Amanda's here at the studio.
That's true.
We've had to pivot and do things a little bit differently, but we're still full force forward. We still have a lot of shows going on. We've got a full day in the studio tomorrow with several shows. Now, many are doing them virtually. We're doing a lot of shows through Zoom, but we are still doing few and more every week, more and more in the studio. We don't have a lot of people here. We stay away from each other. Everything is disinfected and so forth. We try to do our best, but it seems like it's getting a little bit closer to normal.
Yep.
But we've had to pivot and change the way we do things, but we still are moving forward, and we're still sharing the positive business stories here in our county.
No, I mean, you absolutely. And that's why, again, with me having for the people who don't connect the dots, having a show on y'all's station and getting it out once it's recorded into podcast form, you're sharing that positive news. But during this time, it's funny, Mike, it all kind of started for me I did a couple of Facebook Lives and then, and I pivoted and I said, all right, well, what can we do to shed more spotlight on people? Because, Justin, I record a few of these at a time, but we had a big co-op on here. We had a school, and the school told me, like a preschool for kids, they were discounting 50% of tuition rates, and they said people were coming in to keep their teachers paying it at 100% or 125% to make sure another student would be taken care of. A co-op said, they were blessed with so much money coming in that they didn't know what to do, so they were out supporting a local pizza restaurant because they were trying to give back. And honestly, man, I mean, it makes my goosebumps come up to see. And I know you guys are doing the same thing. Do you do it the right way? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just don't see this firsthand. They don't see it firsthand. They may know we're supporting our local restaurants by carryout, which has been amazing, but they don't see these businesses that are pivoting. And I like Amanda's word. That's the one I was saying a couple months ago. It's like, how are we going to pivot? And then what are we going to do, as we come out of this to even be better and stronger together? And
let me share a story with you, Ryan. My mom, up in Brazelton, is 86 years old, and she goes to the Dunkin' Donuts almost every day to get her coffee and her morning donut and so forth. And 3 times, and not just at the Dunkin' Donuts, but another restaurant she was going through the drive-through 3 times in the last month. And this had never happened before. She'd get up to the window to pay, and the person would say, "Don't worry about it. The person in front of you took care of you." And that's never happened before. So it's people have gone out of the way to pay it forward. Especially I think for our seniors who we are the most in trouble right now. They tell us with health reasons. And so it's been neat to see that. So it is out there, and what you're doing is awesome. And I applaud you for doing that and letting people know that these businesses are still in business. We can't afford to let small businesses go out of business because they are the backbone of our community. And so we're doing it and you're doing it. So I applaud you for that as well. So it is out there, and hopefully people are seeing it and recognizing it.
Yeah, it's funny you said. My middle daughter had someone at Dunkin' Donuts, exact same thing occur. She said, "Dad, guess what happened? Same one. Somebody paid for her in another part of Atlanta. Another part of Gwinnett." And so I think this is a different time, and that's we got the COVID-19 thing, and I do agree with you. I think we're coming to I think we're going to start seeing the other side of this. But the economic thing, we had probably the strongest economy in decades, and we're all going to come out of it. But it's all going to be having to do it together. There can't be like, I'm going to skimp on this, I'm going to skimp on that, whatever, because, since I haven't seen you in a while, my dissertation, I've zeroed in on why do 50% of all startup business make it 5 years and 50% fail? That's going to be my topic. Well, this is prior to COVID-19. I don't know how we're going to do that part. But I think there's certain characteristics, but now more than ever, we know that I think it's 99% of small businesses that makes up all businesses. And since, your show, you bring in, God, you probably brought in thousands and thousands and thousands of business owners,
We have.
and so, and I'm sure you've listened to the stories of the blood, the sweat, and the tears. You've heard it on my own show. And I'll tell you something real quick, because I want to throw it back over to you on Marketing Matters. I've said, what have you heard? I work more to be my own boss, and everybody thinks it's great when you got to go be the plunger and whatever. And you know what? Now a lot of people are saying, I'm glad I'm not an entrepreneur. Because it's different. You gotta reinvent your stuff. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I will tell you the funny thing about the business that we're in and that you are in it as well, with all the marketing, and you know this better than anybody, is podcasting has exploded during this whole COVID-19 thing. I read a story the other day. iTunes is one of the main platforms for podcasts where you can get your podcast. It is the number one platform, Apple iTunes. They've had more podcasts come out in the last month than they had in any previous month in their existence.
Yeah.
And you see more and more people. Now, some podcasters good and some aren't. You see some people doing them out of their basements, but our listenership has increased because people are looking for things to do and they're looking for content. And so we've been able to still create that content. And we have some people that, and this is, and I know you had to take a break for your reasons. We had some of our other clients say, you know what? We want to do our podcast now more than ever. We really need to be out there to let people know, A, that we're still in business, and B, that we want to support other businesses. And plus, now is a time to reach a wide range of people. And so we have found our numbers actually have grown during this tough time. And you don't want to we're not profiting or anything, but it is
Sure.
nice to see that we can tell our clients and that we work with that their numbers are going up because we are on iTunes and iHeartRadio and Stitcher and SoundCloud and TuneIn and Google Podcasts. We're out there. More people are now listening. So our business has been fine. We've actually launched, since I last saw you, we've launched 3 new shows that have launched on our platform here in Gwinnett since I last saw you. So again, we're moving forward. We're in a space that this hasn't affected us as much as maybe some other businesses for obvious reasons.
It's funny, Mike, is there were a couple of magazines, different sides of towns. They didn't really do the social and digital, all the stuff we do, but their response to me when this began was, I guess you're just going to shut down, right? I'm like, no, absolutely 100% no. You can't be involved with the community and not be full force in. So I've been honored and blessed, including, us working around, me not be able to get to the studio. Everybody's been, reaching out and paying it forward of saying, look, man, you help us. And so, it's just been a need, you and I, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story while we're on there is, so you and I were broadcasting, Amanda was there to run the Reagan, right? When I don't remember even when, this is like 2 years ago. It was like 3 months ago, I think. But I think we had a picture, and the lady running for state office, BT Parker, who's come in my magazine, did a couple things. I met her that day. And so she posted on her social media a picture of she and I, right? Shoulder to shoulder. And I got a comment. It came, "You guys aren't practicing social distancing." And I'm like, well, the picture was in February. And you know what? I wish I could give her a hug again right now. And so what I was saying to somebody earlier, that's the 1%. The people saying, "Why are you going to go into a studio? Why are you going to do?" But the 99% are saying, great job. Let's not forget those small business owners, because we don't all do it together. I know y'all are saying the same thing. I mean, we don't want to be talking, what's going to look like 2 or 3 months ago. Because a couple of the people I had on before you, Mike, said, guy across the street, great guy, doors closed. We don't want that. We don't want that. So we gotta step up and do our part, because this is our home. This is our community. I mean, right?
I think we're going to have a new normal. I'm probably not going to give you that man hug or anything next time
Yeah, I got you.
I may not even shake your hand. I'm doing the fist pumps now and the
Fist
elbow
bumps, yeah. Yep.
elbow thing right now.
I do that Brave. You know how the Braves thing, where like that? I've even instilled. One of my kids' boyfriends came to the house. He was like elbow, wrist, and I'm like, I didn't. It's kind of awkward. I didn't know what to do.
For some of the older folks, maybe the Bash brothers, the old Oakland
right,
Wire, Jose Canseco, and so forth. So I think things are going to be a little bit different. But we have had a couple comments where people said, why do you have people coming into your studio? For all our guests and our hosts, we give them the option. We tell you, if you want, we can do it virtually. Some have just wanted to get out, and we still keep our distancing and things like that. But there are going to be the naysayers. But I've never let the naysayers stop me from doing what I believe is correct. I'm the most optimistic person in the world. Amanda will tell you that. We just had our weekly meeting, and sometimes I got to talk her off the ledge.
That's great.
But if we don't do what we're doing, we've had Marlowe's on. We've had 101 Bagel Cafe, and there are a lot of folks that would not realize these places are even open.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of businesses that have gone dark. And I don't mean they've closed their doors. I mean they're not doing any advertising or marketing right now. And I know you would argue this because you're a marketing guru. You probably need to do more marketing now ever to let people know that you are open for business.
Yeah, and I'll pivot on the show back to marketing. Yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. I've got a couple senior facilities, big facilities. And yes, we know right now the seniors are our most vulnerable. But what's happened is everything's just gone in slow motion, and they said they put everything on hold. And I'm thinking, when things open back up, you can't just turn a light switch on and make it all come back. You've got to keep your name out there. So I mean, it is. I'm seeing some people, funny enough, come on as new advertisers. I'm seeing some people scared to death, scared of their own shadow, and I'm not judging any of that. Everybody has a right to do whatever, but I think, Mike, it's fair to say, we shouldn't be judging people if they're choosing to be prudent and run their business in a, social distancing way. And we shouldn't, if people want to stay inside and whatever, that's their choice. That's America. Government doesn't make every choice for us. We got to just be smart in what we do, right?
And I have my opinions that I'm not going to get into right now regarding media. My background is traditional media. I've worked in TV and I've worked in radio. And I know that you are graded by the number of clicks or the number of viewers and so forth. And so the media, in my mind, this is a serious situation, obviously. I understand that. And we need to pivot. We need to do what's right. We need to socially distance or physically distance. I don't like the social distancing word because I think you still should talk on Zoom and you got to still interact with people. But the physical distancing, I understand. I think the media has scared the bejesus out of every. Can I say that? I guess.
Yeah, you can.
Out of everybody. Out of everybody.
I did too.
I think there's a common ground. I think it needs to come down a little bit, but that's just not how media works these days. I've seen it evolve over the years. It's not the same as when it was years ago when I worked at CNN headline news. Today, it's who can yell the loudest.
Right. It's
not about being right. It's about being first.
Yeah, it's about getting eyeballs, clicks. You're exactly right. And that was why I spawned this show in the meantime, because I said, you know what? If people, in the early days, I wanted to watch what the national news was saying. I hadn't watched the national news in years, but after a while, it's just, it's so overwhelmingly negative. And when you start talking to people, really, and then you go to our own backyard and go, wow, look at the positive stuff that's happening. People, when they come at me and go, well, how do you know that? I'm like, that's why we're doing these shows, to put this stuff out there. You wouldn't know about it otherwise. You didn't know that this business took, 5% of their profits and paid so this kid didn't go without lunch or what it is. And people are like, man, I should do something, or, whatever it is. They just feel inspired. And I just wasn't going to let this time in history go down. And the same thing you guys are doing is sit scared in the sidelines and not participate. It wasn't about marketing or money. I mean, I've recorded more of these shows for $0 than any human on the planet. That wasn't the point. The point was to try to make a difference, and I feel those of us who are trying to make a difference, genuinely make a difference, we come to the other side of that, whatever that looks like, people remember that. People remember that.
We don't lean left or we don't lean right here at Business Radio X. We lean business. And we want to give a voice to not the Fortune 500, but the Fortune 50,000. The small businesses out there have a voice just as well. And so we're going to share those positive business stories. We're going to continue to do the Community Spotlight Series. We don't have a sponsor for that as well, but it's something that we want to put our time and effort into to do. It's only the right thing to do. And so the funny thing is we haven't had to really pivot from our mission too much anyway, because our mission has always been to serve the business community and get the word out there. And we were able to figure out a revenue model to make that happen while still fulfilling our mission of giving a voice to business out there. You do that every time on your show on Marketing Matters. You're giving voices to these businesses. These businesses are not paying you to come on their show. You're doing it as your way to give back and to help these companies market. And so we're moving forward business as usual for the most part, but I do applaud you for what you're doing. And we're going to continue to do this even after we're through this crisis.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think it's important. And it's funny, Mike, as we kind of come to a close here. I don't know about you. I was not some guru with this Zoom, right? And so my monthly column this month, I wrote, "Man, why didn't I buy that stock?" Because Zoom's become a verb. I'm going zooming. It's everywhere, right?
Did you realize, and I was looking at this just the other day, Amazon stock right now, it's over $3,000 for one share. And about 15 years ago, you could have gotten it for about $4.
Yeah, I missed the boat on that too.
And I'm trying to think, okay, who is the one
Who's
I can
next?
buy now? I'm getting involved in online trading. I'm having some fun with that.
Yeah. You gotta have fun. You got to get those skills. You got to work on the skills and stuff. But man, I appreciate you guys. And before we forget, let's make sure, because I got to get my updated stuff, artwork. I'm working on something to get mine updated. But tell them how to get in contact with you for people that want to get their own podcast and come into the studios, first class. I have a show there. But tell them how they can connect with you and Amanda and the team.
We always tell people who are looking at maybe having their own podcast. And they're looking at doing it with Business Radio X, because we have the audience and we do all the production and everything, to go to the website first and check out some of the shows, including Marketing Matters. Go to businessradiox.com. You'll see several studios. We have them all over the country. We now have them in places like New Mexico, where we've been in Arizona for years. And we have 4 or 5 in Georgia, 4 serving the Atlanta area. We are the Gwinnett studio. That's where you'll find Marketing Matters. So go to businessradiox.com, select the Gwinnett studio, and take a look at all the shows and click on some of them and listen to them. And whatever profession you're in, there's probably a show there for you. And if there's not, all the more reason maybe to do a show. But if you want to reach out to us, I'm Mike. It's Mike@businessradiox.com, or reach out to Amanda at businessradiox.com. And we'll share all the information for you. And maybe you could be the next Ryan Sauers and have your show on Business Radio X. But I will tell you, and I know you believe this, it's a lot of fun. It's a great market. It's a great way to give back, but it sure as heck is a lot of fun as well.
I miss giving you heck in the studio, Mike. It's a lot of fun.
And we will teach you how to actually grow your business too. It's a great way to meet people that you want to get in front of that maybe you're having problems getting in front of. And I could share stories all day long about how we help people do that. But if there are companies that you want to get in front of and you're having no luck getting through the gatekeeper trying to sell them something, don't sell them anymore. Have a show with us, invite them to come on your show, and begin the relationship that way by doing something nice for them, because all sales begin with the relationship.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you, there has never been a guest, and I always bring a couple in for every show, a co-host, that hasn't had fun every time. And so I just wanted to, tell you, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Amanda, for all you guys are doing with your stuff. And I look forward to being back in the studio whenever it's going to be, a few weeks, with Marketing Matters. But Mike Sammond, owner of Business Radio X in Gwinnett, thank you, my friend, for coming on the Community Connection Show.
Thank you, Ryan. Keep up the great work. And anybody out there needs a spokesperson or a seminar done, and you are a guru at marketing, you know what you're talking about. I've been able to know you now for about a year. I've seen your work. I've heard your work. So I want to give a shout out to you as well.
Thank you.
People ought to check out your website as well. Right? Is it RyanSauers.com?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for your time, Ryan. Keep up the great work.
All right, Mike, Amanda, thank you so much. Folks, it's been another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. We will see you again next time.